Firstly, welcome everyone. And AI is no longer tomorrow's technology. 2026, at least to me, it feels like AI is finally mainstream. It's everywhere. Almost, 60% of the VC money in the US is backing AI startups in 2025. India is quietly, ramping up on investment, and the folks on the panel are going to share more about us. All in all, I'm sure every pitch deck today has the word AI in it. It's mainstream. It's a great time to have this conversation. I wanted to just get going right to the point. Maybe we'll go through. I've asked all of our participants to, introduce themselves a little bit. Their fund, what stage does it invest in, like typical check size, and the number of AI startups they have backed in 2025. We'll get going with that, and then we'll get into the conversation proper. Natasha, do you want to start off?
Sure, thank you for having us. So Boundless is an AI-first fund. We started last year. It's a $30 million fund. We come in really early, pre-seed seed. Initial checks are 100K to $1 million. And the point is to come in early and keep doubling down. We're a cross-border fund. Our only constraint is we need to invest in at least one Indian diaspora founder. And we look across consumer AI, AI infra, vertical AI, deep tech. Last year, we actually did 8 AI deals. Everything from building healthcare infra. Maybe you've heard of Super Health, very popular founder Varun Dubey, building multi-speciality hospitals, to fast fashion, to 3 plays in consumer AI, to 3 plays in deep tech, space tech, manufacturing, robotics. So the point, even when you see your portfolio, is exactly like you said, everything is AI. So it's AI is not just software. So looking forward to digging deeper into what actually qualifies as an AI startup today.
Thank you. Shashank.
Hi, yeah, so we run an operator fund named 24/7 VC. We launched last year. We've not done a single investment till now. We should be announcing our first investment hopefully next month. And the focus is deep tech, industry 5.0, advanced manufacturing, enterprise tech, and consumer tech. Again, very agnostic, but idea is to invest in tech-enabled company and go a little deeper. First checks of 250K to 300K with 40% allocation for follow-on investments. And we've not made any investment in 2025, but from our previous one, we did 12 investments in 2024, which were in some capacity doing a bunch of stuff with AI.
Okay, awesome.
Hi, so I'm slightly different in approach. I classically fall into a category called angel investors. So we are a group of angel investors or a network of angel investors, and I prefer to come in very, very early. So, typically the first guy who will write a check or the first group of investors will write a check. So classically, as angels would do it, you're doing it before product market fit, before most revenues start kicking in, and most evolved investors start coming into it. So that's where I come from. And obviously, like you said, every tech these days is AI, and every investment is AI. So this last year and a half, maybe a dozen AI startups, specifically AI startups, okay, and people who are deeply involved in startups. So, but small checks, early checks is what I specialize.
Okay. We'll get into what does specifically AI mean, and I'm sure that's going to be a good conversation.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for hosting us. First up, I'm Mohit Gulati. I run ITI Growth Opportunities Fund. This is part of the larger ITI group where we manage close to $3.5 billion across mutual funds, long, short, bunch of other things. So just to sort of tell you that because I know Shashank and I know Natasha's dad, technically all of us were angel investors who have, for Roti Kapda Makan have graduated now to running funds. So we absolutely value you in the chain, and we're also, ourselves evolutionary curves of the same. For us, as a fund, we've done about 26 investments. I think, native AI versus just AI powered, that's how we bring in distinction. Native AI investments, we've done about 3 of them. AI powered, I think, unfortunately, we live in a world where if you're not using AI in some way or the other, and all of us are using it now in our daily lives, what we did is we first worked inward. So a lot of our own processes, deal monitoring, making sure that every single transaction we are going through has a set mechanism where there's a AI, almost agentic AI-like model that we built out. We are also, and the panelists before us spoke about government working, right? So we work with a lot with multiple state governments. For government of Maharashtra, we work on the agri policy with them. We are knowledge partners. So we try and understand from various sectors and make investments which are marrying or a confluence of our learnings. So that's what we do in a nutshell.
Awesome. So if there are any aspiring founders here or secretly aspiring founders here, you got the whole starter kit here, right from your first check to the small rounds, to the seed round, to a growth stage. So you have the full stack investor community here for your startup. Do take note. I just thought we'll just get your a headline position on what you look for in a startup. So we'll get that out of the way and then go a little deeper. So if, for example, you were to tweet today one line on what do you look for in an AI startup in 2026, what would your line be? Anybody can go first.
A good founder.
It has to be a tweet. You can't just write 3 words. You have Dr. Malpani's daughter here. You have to take Twitter really seriously now.
I leave that part to her. But when it comes to me, the only thing, because it's so early in the cycle, you're not looking at revenue, you're not looking at anything else, you're not looking at what he's accomplished. You're basically looking at his background. What does he know more than most other founders? And therefore, what gives him that additional chance of winning? What's that little thing that he has which most other founders don't have? What does he know that most other founders don't know? And I think that is what you're looking for at that stage. Beyond that, if you're trying to look, then you're probably just,
So a founder with an edge, not an edgy founder.
No, both are fine. Both are fine. They probably are edgy when they have it.
No, I think to best define, right, and particularly in a tweet nutshell or X nutshell, entrepreneurship or starting up today is like a game of soccer. Think of AI not as your striker. It's not going to go and score goals for you. So if you say that my AI is going to make sure every client lands and I'll be able to get revenue monetization, you are kidding yourself. It's not a goalkeeper which is going to save everything. It's not going to be defensible because you have multiple, it's become generic, right? LLMs you have multiple LLMs that are being used. AI is a midfielder. Its job is to bring in efficiency for all the other 10, 11 players and make sure multiple goals get scored and the goalkeeper also does its job. That is AI in the parlance of soccer.
Interesting, very interesting. We'll have a separate conversation on soccer later, or football as we call it.
Yeah, I would say, and by the way, you should check out my Twitter as well. My father and I are very, very separate entities, institutions, pools of capital, and we don't agree at all. So I'd say, 2026 is the year of reliability, not intelligence, because the models are definitely just going to keep getting better, right? And a lot of startups, I think, in infra, even enterprise and consumer, are going to get eaten alive by the models. You don't have old, sleepy incumbents here. But what is failing in the real world is reliability. So this is the year of memory, context, governance across consumer AI, physical AI, and enterprise. So if you take away one word, it should be reliability.
Great. Shashank?
I agree with Uday's point. I think, in our previous fund, we ran a pre-seed fund. We did 180 investments, small ticket sizes. And these are very, very early stage companies. So when we were evaluating companies, there was hardly anything present which was tangible, right? So, and if you're looking at evaluating AI startups, what we were trying to see is, do they have a founding team and a CTO, right? Anything to do with AI, you need a product and a CTO. So that was one skill set we were looking for in a founding team. Secondly, and this is maybe doesn't go in favor of the ecosystem, but unfortunately this is what happens also, and we spend a lot of time filtering those pieces out, is that many founders in the predicts of having an AI startup, they outsource their product development to a third party, right? So they are essentially business operators who don't have an understanding of that product, right? So we spend a lot of time at the pre-seed stage evaluating those aspects. But it always began with, who the founder is, or who the CTO or the product person is.
Got it. So founder, sorry, Uday.
Can I add to what you said? Retweet. So with comments. So
With comments.
पहले आपको 2 word देने थे. Now you suddenly want to do a retweet.
So I think reliability का दूसरा word है execution. I think what has happened, what is going to happen in the next year two, is probably going to be focused on execution. And we've got a lot of foundational pieces that have got built out over the last 2-3 years. I think the winners now will come from people who will convert this into solutions which can be executed and will deliver results for the clients. I think that's where the reliability will come in, and people who really win will be the people who will create fantastic solutions there.
Lovely. So, we started with AI as mainstream, and these are mainstream words, reliability, realism, execution. Yeah, fantastic. And then ensuring that, it's anchored on tech, right? There are some tech chops. You used the word AI native a couple of times. Like, what does AI native mean to you?
I think it's very simple, right? The business that you're betting on or you're evaluating today, would it have existed in a non-Gen AI or in a non-AI world? That is AI native, right? So when we look at businesses, if it's an AI native business, the outcomes can't just be saying that there was an existing business which I will bring 20% higher efficiency on. You need to say that here's an existing business, highly broken, highly fragmented. When I bring in my native AI to it, I essentially bring in the efficiencies which are 300, 400, 500% higher. And that for me is AI native, right? Can you sort of build something which is very, very disruptive towards the previous origins of that business, towards the inefficiencies? Like, let's look at collections in NBFCs. We run NBFCs, about 4,500 crores that we've disbursed. For all of you who have an understanding of NBFC space, right? Giving money is easy, getting money back is difficult. And for collections, we have large call centers which actually make physical calls to the borrower and say, please give the money back. There is limitation towards how many number of calls a human being can make. Using Gen AI today with conversational bots, we are now doing over 12,000 calls every hour. And the model keeps getting better because it understands our style of lending. It understands what are the implications for the borrower, and it's able to do contextual conversations. People don't even know that they're talking to an AI. And of course, there is a layer of monitoring where if we need a agent to come in, a human agent to come in, we bring that on board. But it has drastically improved outcomes for us. Our collections have gone up by almost 38% month on month. And that is something which is, very, very native AI that gets built out. So that's my limited take, but I would love to hear.
So if AI is infused
and he should tell us the name of the startup so we can invest.
So this is a business called TimePay.ai. Young kid, CMU graduate. So, understands what he does. Shashank, CMU. So,
then we have our own portfolio company called Vortex.ai, backed by Unicorn.
अब तुम upsell कर रहे हो. See, this is the problem of having multiple investors on the panel, right? We all have portfolio companies which we can upsell to each other.
Yeah, so we'll come. I think what I took away from your conversation or definition of AI native is you're looking for not incremental gains because of AI. AI infused gives you disruptive changes. Then it's AI native is how you're defining it, right? Any other definitions? Like, how do you see AI native for you? Like, does it have to be a kid, who grew up in, or does it have to be a 15, 20-year-old starting a AI startup because they're native in terms of technology and grown up with AI?
I think it finally comes down to models. Are you using fundamental AI models in some way? Are you using, whether it's small language models, large language models, are you changing the way things were done earlier? And are you using new technology? Mm-hmm. For us as investors, we are not getting deep into technology. What we are trying to see is, are you being able to use modern technology? Are you using latest technology? Are you using large data sets and intelligent data sets to extract information and execute? I think that's what we are looking for. We are not looking for the old way, doing a little better. We are looking for a new way of doing things.
See, adding to both their points, he also made a very valid point. I think, why, and just if you zoom out, why AI is interesting for India is because if when we are evaluating the founders and we look at the efficacy of the process and how they're going to build a product, right, and the kind of models they use, the most important piece is the data which India is sitting on, highly fragmented, and possibly the most interesting data set across the world. So if you're able to kind of build here with these models and work on the input, which is very fragmented, and if you're able to kind of create an efficacy in terms of what solution you're providing, then it truly becomes a global product, right? And these are the signs at pre-seed, because there's, again, I come back to the point, it's not tangible. So you're going by the experience of the founder, their ability to use certain modules, right? Their ability to roll out the first layer of the platform and do a stickiness test with, let's say, an enterprise, right? And how does your capital, when you come in, can you ensure that they are able to secure, let's say, a PO which converts into a paying order in 6 months' time? And there's a flywheel developed, right?
Understand.
Just two super quick points. I think the first is AI native simply is that this business couldn't have existed before the ChatGPT or Gen AI moment, in N22. So AI is also, AI has existed since the 1960s, right? So we're not talking about predictive models, we're not talking about machine learning, we're specifically talking about generative AI.
Right.
That is insane. We're saying that we can talk to machines in natural language and they can talk back to us in natural language and they can actually create content, to your point, across audio, video, text, right? That was not possible. So the shift is that software is now generative, not predictive, which is then, it also does come with problems, which is why we're talking about reliability. But I think that's the shift when we say AI native. And the second point is actually, maybe we'll touch on this later, but I think, you made this point about data. You also made this point about why India is interesting. I think one issue for us is, are we going to own the data or not? Right? So the reason Anthropic, OpenAI, global capability centers are all coming to India is they want our distribution, consumption, data engagement. So I feel like this is actually going to be a global fight of what data do we actually own.
And just to sort of retweet here, right? In plain simple word, right? Our children today are AI native. We all, most of us, who are in our 30s, 40s, right? Our knowledge when we were growing up was restricted to an encyclopedia book by Britannica. Some of us could, I couldn't, but I know some of us on this panel could afford the entire volume. So your data was, your knowledge was restricted to 7 books. Some of us could only buy 1 book and our knowledge was restricted to that 1 book. But today, when your child is learning, he essentially can learn about anything. Like just last night, my son's asking me, Papa, I want to develop flying cars. And he's so smart now. He opens my phone, opens the ChatGPT. He now does the conversational thing with ChatGPT. He doesn't do the typing because he of course can't. He does a conversation with ChatGPT and asks, how do I build the flying car? And he'll ask questions and GPT will dummy it down and answer it basis the fact that it knows that it's a 5-year-old speaking to me. And that is incredible. That is AI native for me. Right, over everything else. Our knowledge, our own minds were so restricted to those 7 books that we had because our parents bought it for whatever 4,000-5,000 rupees in the 90s. All we knew is those 4-5 books. But today, everything's open for you.
Right. So is it fair to say, because I know Mohit, you also used the word AI powered and AI native when you were initially talking about the startup. So is it fair to say that, like you're saying, AI native is a business that wouldn't have existed without Gen AI, right, broadly, or the AI technologies which are coming up? Or it's a business which is now getting tremendous gains because of some disruption. It's not incremental. AI is helping disrupt the business model. Yeah, is that fair to say that is an AI native company? And what is an AI powered in your word? You use them as different terms. So I'm just curious to understand, what is AI powered versus AI native?
No, so if you're looking at AI powered only, right? Essentially, you're saying all the government use cases. They are essentially now going to get AI powered. You have large data sets which are available. What you're doing is bringing in efficiency by bringing in Gen AI to arrive at multiple outcomes. AI native would be a lot more disruptive, where you're actually building new data sets and actually capturing data basis that. Like, let's look at what ChatGPT Health is doing now. So GPT Health essentially is saying that every time you go to a doctor and give your entire history, and Dr. Malpani will resonate with it. it's
Big fan
painful,
of
right?
my father.
Yeah, I know. No, actually, your dad is a very old friend, so and I for those of you, Natasha and I have never spoken to each other. We just met like half an hour ago, and just before we walked onto the panel, I asked her, "By any chance, are you related to Dr. Malpani?" And she said yes. So, but I think I come from a family of doctors. One of the biggest problems is every time someone comes in, you have to give out your entire history of what all you did. Today, you are using GPT Health and multiple other dashboards. You can give a complete view to your doctor in terms of your entire health history from the time you were born, and essentially try and do predictive outcomes on what all could you be done in the what all could be your problems for you in the future. And that can be a layer of native AI that we're looking at, right? This changes, it increases life expectancy. It increases, like Ayushman Bharat, life expectancy of India in the next 5 years will actually increase by 4 or 5 years because of Ayushman Bharat. We are invested in one of the largest stent distributors in the country. The number of stents that Abbott used to do, like this distributor used to do for Abbott, was 110, 120 crores up until 2020. Now they do 600 crores, all Ayushman Bharat. Because just the people in rural India, whoever required stenting, they just gave up because we can't afford it. Ayushman Bharat gave you the ability to marry data, marry health outcomes with insurance to give you a better life. And that is a game changer for me.
Uday, you want to say something?
So yeah, just to step back, I think AI native probably reduces the extent that we are talking or the opportunity as investors in AI. So if you step back a little and say, what are the opportunities that are opening up because of AI? I would imagine there are 3 chunks, and we can discuss this in more detail, but there are 3 chunks. One chunk is the soft layer, which is about applications, which is about models, which is
An
about...
example?
So you got applications based on models, like the voice application which is there.
Right.
So these are soft models. You got tools you've been built and all of those things. So there is one part which is clearly clear. Can happen. So one is the soft part.
Soft layer, yeah.
The second part is probably the hard part of AI, which is, you need new chips, you need new devices, you need new servers, you need new types of storage. Infrastructure is, according to me, the third level.
Okay.
So there is a separate layer which is around all this hardware and software. There is going to be lots of new businesses that are going to come in, which are AI native is probably then hard defining it, but there is a lot of opportunity that's going to open up there. Now in that you've got battery solutions, power solutions, pollution related stuff which is happening with energy solutions. All of those things are new problems that are going to happen because of this new economy coming in.
Yeah.
So if we just look at the soft power or the software part of AI, I think then we are saying that's the only opportunity. I don't think that's the only opportunity. The opportunity lies in the soft side, the hard side, and then the circle around all of this, which creates a new economy by itself.
Yeah, and that's, keeping with the mainstream theme, literally anything, anywhere, any place where AI can go power in and change things dramatically, I think is fair game, and I think that's great. Now I just want to come to, you guys received tons of pitch decks over email, right? For example, let's think about the pitch decks. I just want to get a sense of when you see a pitch deck, what are 1 or 2 things that make you go, yeah, I definitely want to consider. I want to meet this founder. I want to meet this startup. Maybe we start with Uday. You're the first food chain, and we go from there, right?
So, I tend to meet most of the startups.
Okay.
So it could be how much time you spend with them, but I have a slight bias in my own thing that I should meet. If somebody's written to me or somebody's contacted me, the chances are that I will connect with them. And normally if a founder directly writes to me or connects with me directly, 9 out of 10 times I will talk to him.
That's brilliant.
And if the word AI comes into it, I will probably meet him. Now, whether that fructifies into a sensible conversation, useful conversation is a separate thing. But I think every founder who's put in the effort of building a business and is trying to do something, from our point of view, deserves a hearing.
And what are your you meet a founder, let's say, right? what are one or two things, where you quickly get a sense? What are your early signals that you look for?
So early signals, you can, I can't put it out there, but there is an algorithm in our head.
Okay.
Okay. Now, it's very difficult to put that out there, and it's fuzzy logic or AI now, what they call. But at the end of the day, because I meet 4 founders to 5 founders a day, and I've been doing this now for 10 years, I know in the first 3 minutes that this is not for me.
Okay. And what are some of those signals?
Normally, I think it is about the depth of the founder and the depth of the founding team. So I normally ask him to show me the founder slide first and walk me through the founder's background, founder slide, what they've done earlier, and why are they trying to get into this.
Fantastic.
The minute you get that, I think the filtration process is more or less taken care of.
Very valuable, Shashank. Now the founder has crossed that, he's got an angel check or she's got an angel check. And
so, I've been very clinical about it because in our previous fund, we invested in 180 companies from a pool of 25,000 applications over the last 5.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we used to review all applications coming in. So there was a process, right? So we used to capture certain data sets. As a pre-seed fund, the structural questions were, are you heavily diluted? Are the founders full-time?
Mm-hmm.
Are they moonlighting, right? So those factors used to process the filtration.
So that's a hygiene check.
That's a hygiene check.
Right.
Once they've crossed that, we used to have 15 minutes, as you rightly said. And this is, if you've not rejected them and they've crossed that barrier, then you schedule a 15 to 20 minute conversation. Again, the next step of, is this actually a product tech? What's the comp analysis? Broader structures. And then you, as you said, go meet the founder, ask them to come down, and then take a deeper dive, right? And then try and understand, are these founders really going to stick it out, or is something exciting because they heard a PR news of some colleague getting funded and you're like, this is new stuff happening.
AI dal dete hain.
Yeah, no, you'll be surprised because a lot of founders start businesses, and this is, I think, what Uday was trying to say. It's very important to understand why the founder is wanting to start it. Is it for the long haul, or is it just to make a fashion statement? This trend has also, so as institutions or as angels, we are trying to evaluate that it's, as you said, it's a gut feeling. Do I really like this guy?
Right.
Is he fitting into the ethos of, and that's why being operators, right? At some point in time, all of us have been operators. That intuitive thinking, dude, I built a startup at I knew I was pulling up the sleeves and building a toilet in my office. Do I see that trait somewhere? This means he's in for these are small things which you look into, and that has nothing to do with the tech, nothing to do with what they aspire to build, because those checks come in, and then you start taking a deeper dive into the product.
Sure. So in your case, then it's, if I hear it, it's product. Is the product real? Does it have an edge? And will this guy or person stick for the long term? And can you build that together with them?
Yes.
Literally, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, now we've crossed that stage and we won the $1 million check. What do we do, Natasha?
Yeah, so our framework is we look at founder, market, and product, right, broadly. In terms of founder, of course, underscore what the panelists have said. The 3 things we look for in terms of just founder psychology is, one, do you have this irrational belief in terms of how you're going to shape reality that is genuinely irrational, right? Which I think ties to your question on motivation. So what is it you believe about the world and the future that other people don't? 2, where have you shown resilience? So where have you failed and bounced back, right? And then 3, how fast is your pace of iteration and learning? So we spend a lot of time with our founders before we invest. So while pre-seed seed is very competitive and very fast, if we're going to lose a deal, then we'll lose it. But in the end, we are backing the founder on a very long journey. So these are the 3 things we look for. In terms of market, again, to your point, I like the way you broke it down. We think of software and physical AI differently, right? Like on the software layer, there's what you're doing on the model layer, there's what you're doing on the infra layer, which is all the dev tooling, and then what you're doing at the application layer. The sort of founders that understand these markets, the technical traits they need are all very different. So we actually have totally different market mapping based on where you're playing on software. On physical AI again, we have a totally different mapping, because if you're building a consumer company, consumer AI, there's no reason you shouldn't have put out an MVP. But obviously, if you're building a space tech company, you couldn't have launched the rocket, right? But we need to see some version of TRL. So we have a mapping based on market, sector, and product. But we do look for some proof points at our stage. We are not obsessed actually with unit economics. We don't spend a lot of time on LTV CAC. I don't think those are the right metrics for the stage we're at.
So we have a crazy founder who's super quick and has fit and have proof points. And what do you want to scale?
No, so before I answer the scale question, right, I'm going to take a slightly more morbid, pragmatic conversation here, right? Uday, I used to be like you, right? 9 out of 10 founders, I would want to give them time. I lost a bunch of my friends in the last few years. They just dropped dead. I don't know what was it, the COVID vaccine or whatever it was. And it just made me believe that my time, and I'm not saying this for you guys, I'm saying it for myself, right? My time on this earth is finite. And I can't waste it. I can't waste it in a conversation which is meaningless. I can't waste it on a founder who's lying to me or who's just not worth it. I don't speak to 9 out of 10 people. I only speak to one person. But that one person is filtered via multiple channels by people like you, because all of you in a way feed into us, right? After the filtration is done, I will do that conversation and take a decision whether it makes sense or not. And that to half an hour. My first call is always half an hour. My Calendly links are always half an hour. If I see that a founder in the first 3 or 5 minutes, like Uday mentioned, has lied or is sort of faffing about it, I cut the call. I'm done.
Sure, that's a red flag.
It's a red flag. I know this is going to be a waste of my remaining 25 minutes. Cannot do it. Yep. I have a few friends in the audience here. They will tell you, if I have to, that we live in a complex where there are so many people, right? And people will randomly call and say, come over for a drink. I said no. Because I choose who I want to drink with, right? I'll choose.
So are they your friends?
So we'll see. It's iteration, right? I mean, I come from a world where in angel investing, right? And listen to these words carefully. When you're angel investing, you trust everyone until proven otherwise. Mm-hmm. But once you've been in this industry for 14 years, you realize that don't trust anyone until proven otherwise, right? 109 rupee is all it takes to get the entire Janam Patri of everyone over here. Any founder who comes and tells you, I'm a second-time founder, I exited my business for $100 million to XYZ, just go and file in the MCA and see, did that really actually happen? And if it didn't, this was a red flag. 109 rupees. That's like, a little more than $1. Hopefully dollar will catch up to that also. So that is where
what's your trust signal? Like what's in this 30-minute call, no red flag, but what's the signal that you additionally over the filtration look for to say, yep, there's something
so
here.
I think, fortunately, the space at which we come in, right, there is already product market fit available. There is already path to not profitability, but at least revenues are there. LTV CAC ratios have already been proven. So it makes life a little easier for us to evaluate businesses. Like when we invested in CureSkin, while JSW Ventures was invested and so on and so forth, we could see that, okay, here's a company which is using generative AI to map Indian skin tones and not only just tell you that this is what is wrong or broken on your skin, this is the product which will marry to that analysis, and here's the outcomes that are also measured via AI. So it made life easy. We could see the entire stack there. We could see that, okay, 12.5, 13 crores of revenues actually happening on a monthly basis versus there. So we knew that this money will now aid towards taking them from that 12.5 crore mark to about 25, 30 crores, which is where they are. They're about 35 crores right now.
I'm an angel investor in CureSkin.
So you know the business, right? So that is, it just made life easier. So you are able to see a lot of those performance parameters in place, and you know where the entry point sort of exists for you, and just sort of plug in there. We did the same with Fasal, right? Fasal is one of the largest agri-tech plays. AI meets agriculture, right, in a way. A lot of the path to proving what they do was already done. Today we know that with our capital, with our connects within the B2G, there is clear scale available for them. We see Fasal already deployed across 7,000 farms. We see at least 40, 50,000 farms in the next 5 years. And we have a whole path to doing that. So we know our capital is going towards building that 10x growth from here on. The product, technology, all is already proven. So I would like to think that we are slightly in a better position versus taking those moonshot bets.
You can take a more objective.
We can take a more objective view. Also, because we run public market strategies, right? We are able to marry a lot of these learnings into what will the markets perceive when these businesses go IPO. Right. We are also pre-IPO investors in a host of companies, including Shiprocket, which goes,
Yeah.
for those of you who've not seen Shiprocket, urge you to look at it, do invest in that IPO. I put my neck out on this one.
Yeah, we've used them.
You've used
For our
them. Of
business.
course, everyone's used them, but from an investor perspective. So it sort of marries the entire spectrum, right? So you know what kind of businesses you're building in Series A, B, C, and can they actually be moonshots which can go IPO and remain alive and relevant? Half the problem in India today is it's a pump and dump. Very few businesses are relevant today, even after going IPO.
Yep.
So I think it has a lot to do with how much data do you have. So we are on a spectrum.
Right.
So as an angel investor, I have low information, and I'm very early in the game. So I'm playing a high risk, high reward game.
Right.
And the later you get into the system, then you have more information. You have more data.
Yep.
You probably have 4 years of information, 5 years of information by the time they reach a late stage investor. And therefore, a lot of these, persistence, TAM, scale, size, execution, reliability, all these questions have probably got answered.
Sorted out, yeah.
So your ability to figure out which is the winner is far easier. It's far simpler because you can do it from a deck.
Yep.
And I think the people who write earlier checks are looking for softer signals compared to people who are looking for harder signals when they're down the curve. So that's
I have I just want to mention one company to highlight this example, and even building on her, that there are some consumer companies where you'll want to see, or consumer tech companies where you want to see customer love, right? That shows tangibility and stickiness.
Right.
But in deep tech companies, you can't do that. And as deep tech, if deep tech is one of your themes in your fund, you need to kind of take that leap of faith, right? So
Right.
we started doing that in our previous fund with very small check sizes. We did 80 investments with 25 lakh check sizes and 1.25 CR and 100 companies, right? This is one company we invested in called EMO Energy. Right? And founders, IIT Bombay, 10 years of experience in Aether, battery building. And they were building battery coolant technology with lithium batteries, right? Solid pedigrees, one is at Stanford. There's no brainer, right? Like, we have to do this, right? Then the objective was, what will happen if they build this out, right? So where do we go? So they were pitching to us for using this technology for server cooling, right? And we thought this could be a use case. Around the same time, the EV two-wheeler vehicle market was evolving, right? And crashing. Ola's scooters are burning out, right? Because nobody realized this is tropical region and you're selling it at 40,000 and the villages are parking it in the sun. They don't have a brochure ki bhai isko charging mein chhaw mein laga ke rakho, right? All those. So when you're building a product like, then there's a use case of batteries, cooling batteries for tropical regions, right?
Yeah.
So they moved towards that. There's no pivot. The pivot was in GTM, not so much on the product, right? Now we came in as the first check with 25 lakh checks when they were building a prototype. Now we took largely a bet. I had no idea that 3 years down the line, they are going to be doing 6 CR per month, working with all OEM manufacturers, today valued at 500 crores.
Wow, fantastic.
But I did not know that.
Yeah.
Neither did I figure out the entire path. It was that first prototype input and output. Is it doable? Team pedigree. And they thought they had a use case on the server side. We just nudged them to a different approach.
Yeah.
Because that was a low-hanging fruit. And now it's building out into stores.
Yeah,
I think what Uday and everybody's trying to say, and then by the time it reaches a growth stage fund, in the initial stages, it's very difficult to figure out, there are no hard facts, there are no numbers, there's no customer feedback. So you're doing product evaluation, and that also is just an input-output test. You don't have a stress test that if you have 100 of these batteries, will they perform the same way, right?
Yeah, but what I really liked about that story, Shashank, is that you invested time to figure out what is possible, right? And at this stage, explicitly doing that, gives you a much better sense of the problem. And I wish many more VCs did that. It's an easy reflex mechanism to fall back on instinct versus spend the time and the effort to actually scope out what is possible if this works. It's a
actually,
great question
most
to ask.
VCs do that. Most VCs spend significant amount of time with founders, and these
Most
are
good VCs.
most VCs, I mean, most VCs would do.
I think that's an entrepreneur's view.
Well, there's some trauma story.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
We've come a long way. I think there are a lot of VCs.
you know, like how there are all sorts of founders, there are all sorts of VCs.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
Correct.
there'll be founders who won't share this thing with them. So, it's a two-way street. If the founder does not share challenges that he is facing and he doesn't want to have a conversation on what the larger TAM could be and how do you take it to the next stage and how do you take... See, it's also, the point is, as investors, angel investors, I know what the next stage investor wants.
Right.
And when I am sitting with the founder, if the founder is open to conversation, I can handhold him through that journey and say, you know, this is what Shashank wants at next stage. So if you want to pitch to him, that's how you need to think through and, you know. But if you have a founder who's not ready to be coached and he's saying, no, I've thought through this and, you know, my last startup, I did this and it worked for me and, you know, all VCs are XYZ and it won't work for me. I will bulldoze my way. Then good luck to him. So that's how I think there is a bit of a give and take in this.
And see, I think most importantly, what we forget while we talk about the excitement, we are actually businesses. We need to return the capital.
Absolutely.
So at some point in time, if the founders is not sharing information and you think, you know, you're losing faith and you're not spending, and this is something which we've done. 180 companies, I cannot possibly spend time efficiently and effectively with all 180. I am only going to focus on winners. I'm going to let loose of the losers. Simple as that. Now there are other because at the end of the day, I have to focus, and by this process, 40 companies have failed, right? They were failing. I wouldn't revive them. If they are not motivated, they're not coming out, they're not doing what we've suggested, we won't focus on it. We'll only focus on the winners because that's where my outliers will come from. And at the end of the day, I need to return capital. It's a business.
Absolutely. No, I think the good framing there, Uday, was, you know, typically founders are coached to go pitch, right? What you're actually saying is, especially in the earlier stages, come in, not just to pitch, but come in with saying, hey, how can we help me see this problem differently? Can we see this? And can we see something bigger here based on your experience and our experience, you know, that changes our perspective and makes us actually realize that. So I think that's a great framing.
That's what we bring to the table.
Absolutely.
My point is, as investors, we bring that to the table. He brings in the view of what the IPO will look like and what a public market investor would look for.
Absolutely.
You know, we are all bringing that knowledge to the table. But if somebody wants to make use of it, good enough. Otherwise, he's
I think it's good awareness to have because, you know, as I said, conventional low risk elevator speech, 30 seconds to convince grow. You know, all of that. I think what you're saying is, no, it's a conversation. Come in and let's, especially the early stage, let's figure out what are the possibilities. So I think that just changes the slant. And I think it's a good nuance for the conversation as well. I want to move to a slightly more, I'm going to get to audience questions in like, say, 5 minutes. So if you have any questions,
just
please
FYI, before we were just doing a pre-prep on this panel 5 minutes before we started, Balaji had said that I'm going to open questions for the audience after every question.
Every third. Yeah. But
clearly he's forgotten about it.
No, in the VC language, I pivoted because the conversation was so fascinating. Right? But I'm going to get to you guys in 5 minutes. I just want a quick headline on what was the last startup that AI startup that you were genuinely most excited by, and a very quick reason on what's the startup, if you can share, and why were you excited by it?
India specific startups, right?
Yeah, India.
I love this startup called August.ai. Incredible founder. He's obsessed with outcomes on healthcare. He's very difficult to work with, and he's just a very, very eccentric, very crazy guy. But for all of you, right? Please, I urge you to just go to August.ai, start a WhatsApp conversational bot with them. For your blood and all other health outcome reports, this is the best startup that can ever work on it. The kind of analytics it will give you on your reports, it's unlike anything I've seen. PharmEasy, Swasth.ai is actually powered by them. So in PharmEasy, if you're doing your diagnostic labs, you'll see trends across how your blood has moved, how your blood work has moved. Incredible guy. I don't know where will he go.
So did the founder excite you? The problem space? What excited you the most?
So great problem space, which was definitely, and I'm talking about this from a year and a half ago, right? I'm not talking about now. Crazy early adoption that I was seeing. Great space. mad founder. I didn't know how to coach him. He just wouldn't listen, right? He's just very difficult. I asked him, how much money do you want? No, sir, we don't want to raise money. We already have money. I said, what does that mean? Like, we already have money. Like, no, but I might raise, I might not raise. I'm evaluating. So it was very weird and difficult to work with him, but great guy, phenomenal guy.
Uday?
So I think we're going to see a lot of voice AI companies in India. And I think given the country has so many languages, given that we have so many use cases for voice because we are low literacy and most typing in India happens on an English keyboard kind of a thing.
Or WhatsApp voice messages.
So WhatsApp voice messages is a clear example
Use case,
of that.
Right,
I think voice in India is going to be one of those key platforms which will significantly change on the soft side.
And did you meet anyone who you're excited by?
There are lots of them. I don't want to take names because if I take one, then the others. So, but I think there are 3-4 of them where I'm.
And what excited you about them? Is it just the problem space, or was there anything
It's
specific?
the problem space. It's the problem space and the depth that they're going to solve that particular deep use case.
Okay.
I think there, like how collections is a big use case that needs to be resolved. Customer service CRM is a use case that needs to be resolved. And when I'm sitting with them, I'm trying to understand how deep is their insight on the conversation that they need to have. Where will they pick up the information? Where is the data coming from? How are they going to have the conversation in multiple languages? So a lot of these guys are going to win and going to emerge. Also, it's very, very defendable against the global players.
Got it.
Voice in India with localized solutions is going to be very defendable versus what people are going to be doing internationally. So that, according to me, as an early stage investor, I think those are places that I would, at this point in time, back people. The other ones are, slightly more deep tech. I think battery technologies are going to be chaotic. I mean, we're getting into a situation where we don't know how we're going to power all this technology that's going to come in.
Right.
So I think there are solutions which none of us have thought through. We are going to have solutions in that side. I'm also very excited about this whole pollution that we are going to create because of all this power generation. These data centers are going to create humongous amount of water pollution and air pollution. I think there are some very interesting companies that I'm getting involved with who are focusing on materials which will solve for air pollution and water pollution caused by all this chaos that we are creating. So I think some of it is allied around it, but there are some unique solutions that we need to pick up and probably believe that we will be able to win those battles.
Awesome. Shashank?
Echo all of that, this is all. But
I think any particular one excited you,
Yeah, so I think, so I can name a bunch of our previous portfolio. I think I'll just talk about what is exciting me now, where I'm developing a learning curve, which I had a strong bias against.
Right.
The use of AI and how I defined defense tech.
Right.
And defense tech, in my mind, was only B2G. I should stay away from it. But there's some very interesting, and this is, again, we've invested in cybersecurity earlier.
Right.
But now a different spin to cybersecurity where there's a use case for B2G and B2B. That piece is emerging. Currently, as I said, we're evaluating 2-3 companies. One company which is, I had a massive learning curve over there. They, great team, IT Madras, and great founder, hustler, co-founding team, product, business. And they built a maritime solution, which has obviously use cases in B2G, but also for private companies like Maersk and all the shipping companies, right? And they identified and defined a problem which has been there for quite some time. And considering the way the geopolitical scenario is evolving and India's placement, we took a massive set of learnings from there, and then how he's leveraged sensor data, built a platform, getting data of shipping companies, and then creating value for a shipping company and a government and a coastal guard, it was
Fascinating.
very fascinating.
Fascinating.
So that was, and again, a lot of biases broke. Like, कौन logistic company करेगा जो, port के साथ करता है, customs को, so a lot of biases broke, and then the use of technology and how they kind of built that thing out was very interesting. So that's, I can't name the company, but again,
Sure. Thank
that's
you
a
for sharing
company which
that.
excited.
Oh, I was just going to ask both of you to name the companies you were mentioning, but I'll ask you later.
On the side.
So I'll give you 3 very quick examples of companies I'm excited by, just to show the depth and breadth, right, of what is possible today, not what's going to happen. So one is a company called Shram. They are building ambient agents. So these are agents that will capture everything you're doing on your desktop or laptop, will capture your screen recordings, your voice, and based on your workflows and behavior, they will suggest what you should do next. So it's both ambient and proactive. So that, I think, is a very forward-thinking category. 2 is a company that I can't name yet, but basically, it's an obvious thing to say, okay, learning will change, right? To your example of your child, obviously Gen AI will change how we learn. This company is basically saying, how can you replicate the teachers you already love? So they are taking the voice and curriculum of these star teachers on a physics wala, etc. They are developing digital clones or AI tutors of these companies, and then they are personalizing your learning again according to your own workflows and behavior. So it's saying, imagine you can have your favorite star tutor in your home.
According to your way of
according to
learning.
your way of learning, right? That is true personalization. That's the second one. And then super quickly, third, just because we're talking about physical AI, AI infra, is this company that's building snake-like robotic arms, Armatrix, where there's innovation on the hardware for how flexible the arm is. There's innovation on the sensing and the autonomy for, how the arm can understand the environment. And there's innovation on the action. So basically, that's why hardware is so interesting, right? Because literally, the way machines work is also changing. So these guys are going to do aviation engine inspection that couldn't have existed 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And all their first contracts, these are 23-year-olds from IIT Kanpur. They've had government reach out to them. So DRDO is spending time with them. Ports Authority is spending time with them. That's what we are also finding amazing, is that in India, the regulators and the governments are reaching out to 23, 24-year-olds saying, how do we work with you?
Great. I'm going to ask for maybe 2 or 3 audience questions to start with. If we have more time, we can do more. And could I request that our panelists just approach it as a rapid fire answer, quick one, right? 20-second answer. Yes, please, sir.
Well, the first question is very relevant because, we are all sort of founders based out of UK. Now, Mr. Gulati said that, Uday said that. Now, how open are you to sort of investing in companies which are not native, as in which have not kind of are registered here? Is that an opportunity you have, or
Not for us.
it's not for you?
We are
Not
only
for
focused. India.
We are cross-border.
Well, besides being an Indian native,
that's
ex-Indian
fine.
native, I'm also an AI native according to your definition. So how about
you are only
I love
native
that.
Indian. You're only native Indian when your PAN card says India, and when you pay some money to Nirmala Sitharaman every year, which all of us do. The day you start doing that, we can invest in you. You have the option, but you're not exercising it. So the law of this land is very beautifully designed, right? As AIF funds, which is alternate investment funds under SEBI, it's almost impossible for us to even invest $1 outside India. So it's not about us wanting to or not wanting to. It's just our regulator has made it very clear that all your capital has to be more inward, not outward. And in a way, because we are a country which is 1 billion plus people, there are enough problems that we have to solve internally itself. So honestly, we've stopped looking outside. हम कुएं के मेंढक हैं. अब आ जाओ ना. तो मैं आपको कहा, I said,
आप अगर
आप
आ
आ
जाओगे
जाओ,
तो
पैन
देख
कार्ड यहाँ पे
लेंगे.
ले लो, निर्मला जी को अपना टैक्स दो, आ जाएंगे हम.
If you set up your holding company here, then you
लौट
then you become
के आ
eligible.
जाओ, परदेसी देश बुलाए रहे.
Mark my words, the way Trump is going, right? In the next 10 years, the mother of all ghar wapsi is going to happen in this country.
Yes.
10 years.
Everyone's going to come back.
Did you say 10 years or 10 months?
10 months, 10 days, 10 weeks, everyone wants to come back to India.
Next question,
It's
please.
the best time at $91 to the dollar. For the pound, it's 120 or something, right? It's a great time for you to come back to India, get some pound.
Yeah. Sorry.
No,
but-
and just super quickly, actually, no, we have the opposite view. We're Gift City. So we can invest anywhere in the world as long as there's one India founder.
Awesome. Ash, yes.
Yeah, sorry, just quickly, the company you mentioned, without naming it, in the defense tech,
Yeah.
is it in the business of alternate sonar solutions?
No.
Okay. Then I should tell you about one which
I would love to.
Wait,
This is
I
guess
thought
who,
this
guess
was,
who.
I thought this was 20 questions. Any questions on the back? Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Nikhil. Quick question. So, of the startups which you have funded so far, where have you helped them when they have faced challenges? Maybe top one or two challenges which most AI-based startups face, and how do you go about helping them? Thank you.
Anyone?
Yeah, I think, so I like to highlight, maybe some VCs don't like to talk about this. We've consciously working towards it. At the end of the day, the VCs are generalists, right? And when you're a pre-seed fund, you're sector agnostic. So we've invested in a Kerala banana chips brand, and then we've invested in a deep tech. There's only so much I can do in terms of value addition. Either I can sell Kerala banana chips, or I can.
So
do
this is deep fry to deep
right.
tech.
So what? Good one. So what
And
we
both
do.
the chips. Yeah, thank you, Aditya.
So and Uday is sitting here. So Uday was one of the advisors to some of our portfolio companies. So what we do is our LPs, our operators, who've built out companies, sold it to Cisco in one vertical. Then there's some other who's built out, EV solutions, right? So these are hardcore people who understand deep technology or AI product journeys, and then GTMs, right? So one of the key tenets for our pre-seed fund, and even continues in this fund, is when we invest and when we're trying to create value addition, our primary job is to act as enablers and connectors after we've provided, right? So if I can enable an introduction with a particular person for an enterprise PO, that's the foremost job of ours, right? The other most important thing why we have to do this is because for my portfolio company to eventually cross this barrier to reach him, he's going to be evaluating on a certain metric. If I have not enabled that performance of 7% or 8% per week or 15% growth per month, it's not going to go up the value chain.
Yep.
Right. So
Also, when you're raising your next rounds, right, the question that we ask is to the founders, not if Shashank's invested in, hey Shashank, did you provide enough value over here? Did you get them POs? The fact that this question is structurally wrong. Expecting your investor to bring in capital and also to work with you hand in hand and open up POs for you, what did you do? I don't think I'm answerable. If you have the capital, don't take money from me. Why should I be answerable for this? I will, if I've put my capital, if my outcomes and your outcomes are tied together, I will of course do my level best to aid you. I'm not going to be sitting on your head and saying, hey boss, kya ho raha? I'm going to try and aid you. But I don't think you can ask that question with regards to what have you got on the table besides the capital? Or how are you enabling the startup? It's not my job. If you're a good founder, you should be able to enable yourself. This capital will help you enable whatever you want. And all of us get AWS credits, we get Azure credit, we can talk about all of that, right? I don't think we are answerable.
So two things, I think, let me answer that for you. Two things where we do end up stepping in. One, we ask the difficult questions. So as a friend and an insider, I am asking the difficult questions before somebody else asks you those difficult questions. The second is, when the founder goes through stressful times, he needs somebody's shoulder to cry on. So that's the firefighting that I can help with. But can I solve your business problems? Can I solve your ability to build a product? Can I be your technical person? No. But I can be your support. But if you think that the support will take you forward, then that is a weakness that you will get. You need to be able to run on your own, build on your own, and grow on your own. All you have is somebody, in case there's a fire brigade. That's all.
Yeah. So I think I'm getting signals to wrap this part of the discussion up, but the conversation continues. I'm sure the way we have structured this, there's a lot of time for you to interact. I'm going to do 3 quick rapid fire questions to close this. 1 sentence answer at the most. Yeah. From your portfolio of AI startups, pick one that failed or didn't work. What is one lesson you learned from that? And if all four of you don't have to go, anyone who wants to go can.
I'll go first. So one of the startups that started off, and the pitch was trying to create a product for a certain scale of companies. They were looking for an enterprise solution, a banking solution. They tried very hard to reach that scale, but they couldn't even reach a point where they could get the first design or an entry into a bank to even test the product.
Understand. So lesson learned?
So I think the ability of those people to be able to get into their ICP, or the customer, so to say, they couldn't even get past the door. And I think we underestimated their ability to get past that door.
Especially in enterprise cases.
Especially in enterprise cases. So in your enterprise cases, if you don't have a senior enough person to be able to walk into a big bank or
at least an intent letter,
or is a hustler enough to be able to get into a large customer and be able to find your way, I think that fails. And I think that was one
very valuable.
No, funnily, Uday, you shouldn't feel bad about this, because we have an exactly similar company called Subtle.ai. We got into that door. We got into SBI, who insisted that we work with data sets on their on-prem. 8.5, 9 months on-prem working with them, teams traveling from Bangalore to Bombay to Delhi, all of these places. And after all of that happened, they paid us some 4.5 lakh rupees. My cost of flights was probably more than 1.5 lakh too. So sometimes those doors open, you'd go and do that activation, but then you realize that either the customer is not valuing you enough, or just the time it takes for you to go and actually deploy, the physical time taken is not making business use case out of this.
And what's your lesson? I mean, the next time around, how do you phrase your learning from this?
Don't do a free POC.
Never do a free POC.
Got it. Awesome.
Nothing in life is free, ever.
Awesome. Shashank.
So we invested in a company called Swasthya.ai, which was essentially building cancer patient journey and tracking the reports and various touch points of various oncologists, right? So they were building a platform connecting the hospital, the oncologist, the doctors, and the patient. And great team, MIT pass out, and but they failed miserably. They had to shut shop. And I'm still trying to figure out what the lesson is here, because I thought we would have cracked the system, but it was a dead end. And is it a problem statement we want to address? Yes, but we become less confident because how
was it
difficult.
Execution?
It was execution failure, not on the founder's part, but just the whole system. Very different. We got into Tata hospitals. We had enough connects with other hospitals, and it just didn't. It just didn't convert.
So it's an emerging lesson.
It's and I'm still trying to figure out what can be done.
Awesome. And any insights from you, Natasha?
Yeah, very quickly, we invested, again, in a very interesting AI recruitment company, phenomenal tech, phenomenal founders, everything made sense on paper. They built the product, they had the users, they just couldn't monetize. And I think the lesson we learned is the incentives were not aligned, right? This was, I think, quite a fancy US team that was trying to build for India. And actually, unless... in India, I think you have to understand incentives bottom up. They're not what they seem on paper. Understand.
Okay. One AI tool that you use regularly that you swear by, only one. What's your pick? Mohit.
A bunch of them here.
One. If you had to pick number one.
Right now I'm loving, I don't know how do you pronounce it for the Marathis here. It'll be Manus, but it's called Manus. So Marathi people will call it Manus, and most of the American log will call it Manus. Loving it.
Uday?
I'm a Notion fan.
Notion AI. Okay.
I mean, Perplexity was offered as the premium platform for via Airtel, so I had been experimenting a lot on that.
Shashank, you're cheaping out, huh?
No, I'm serious. And I've not been using.
You need to pay more for tools.
So I was. So I was like, naya fundraise kar raha hu. So yeah, I mean, I to be honest and candid, I haven't spent as much time experimenting with newer tools over the last 6 months, to be very honest. But that was the last tool I was
Perplexity
using.
it is. Natasha.
I'm a very heavy user of Granola, which is a excellent note taker.
Cool. And the last question, if you could wipe code your way to an application this year, right? Or what would you work on? or you could start a company yourself and wipe code your way to it, what would you start?
I'm actually doing something in that space. Building a credit score that is better than CIBIL for the bottom 200 million Indians.
Oh,
My
nice.
mechanism of capturing it is different. It's a not-for-profit. I'm doing it. I've taken SEBI approval for building this out. I'm not raising any capital. The idea is
And you're building it, you're coding yourself.
Yeah. Uplift the bottom 200 million Indians, because in the world that we're living in, we are going to have a social problem at hand. We need to find a way to uplift the rest of India, not just all of us doing these brainstorming sessions sitting here. We'll all, when India touches 10, 12 trillion economy, we'll all be like 8, 10, 15x better than what we are today, richer than what we are today. But what about them?
Right.
And they power our homes, they power our lives a lot more than we think of them, but they still have no access to formal credit. They're lending, they're borrowing money at 6% per month.
Yeah.
So the poor keep getting poorer, while all of us have access to credit. We can all go and buy a house at less than 7% per annum, on a 20-year loan. It's ridiculous. You have to change this.
More power to you. Uday, what would you build?
I think anything that can make my life a little more easier. I would probably start thinking of using agents, and this is my resolution for this year. If I can evolve to start using agents to make my life as a solo
in your workflow,
in my own personal workflow. And I think I'm not even thinking of what I can do for the
so
rest.
is that
I'm right now trying to solve my own, the number of pitches that I get and the number of emails that I get and how I can solve for it.
Stop doing 9 out of 10 meetings.
Yes, so that maybe that's the AI avatar that does the 9 out of 10 meetings.
So
You need agentic. I'm telling you this.
So I'm saying I'm not going to stop the 9 out of 10. I have to find a way of filtering that 9 out of 10.
Awesome. Shashank, what are you going to build, if you could?
It's, I'm so amazed because we backed a company called Buno Finance, which failed, which was trying to build a credit scoring for blue-collar workforce. And I'd love to talk about what you're doing. And what Uday mentioned, I think if I was not doing anything and I had to build something, I think what the government India stack is doing with Bhashni and the vernacular play of, digital penetration is there, right? So if you're able to build something out, or at least I would if I had to, which is going to provide a certain service, whether it's a Swiggy, whether it's a banking app in that particular language, which I believe fundamentally is going to be a huge opportunity. That's something which I will be working towards.
And you?
Yeah, I actually feel bad about my answer now that you've given us such a
You can come help me.
yeah,
Come help me.
such an altruistic answer. But I have actually, I have built multiple AI agents for my workflows, for my fund. So I'm actually not hiring any analysts at all. A lot of my workflows for diligence, portfolio management, etc., are done through AI.
I
but
need
then,
to learn from you.
Yeah, but then obviously the question is, next generation for fund 2, fund 3, who have I trained, right? So I think there's also very human problems. You use AI to optimize your workflows and make them efficient, but then, who's going to build the next generation of talent?
Absolutely. So it's early 2026 and you heard it here, folks. AI is mainstream. All of you can build, and these are the guys to go and connect for helping you build that. Thank you so much. Please give our panelists a great hand. Sorry, it took a little longer, but we have gone on for
Was it?